Okay, everybody, welcome, welcome. Now, of course, you're not hearing me through the room because you don't need to, because we have loud enough voices and it's not a big space. But the reason we have microphones today is because we do have remote attendees. So we're here today as Jabra, Lenovo, and Commbox to talk about intelligent meeting spaces. So I'm Eric Kaufman. I work for Jabra. I'm the video channel development manager for Jabra. And I'm going to actually be kind of moderating for us, but also contributing to the panel discussion today. We'll also welcome questions and everything as we go along, and also, of course, after we've gone through our content. We're not going to try to kill you by PowerPoint or slides. So, but we'd love for it to be interactive today and get some feedback from you guys, both online and also here live on site here at Integrate. And then we've got also some giveaways from to give you guys too, based upon some question and answer sessions at the end, so pay attention, if you will. I'll let my compadres here introduce themselves and tell you where they're from and their roles as well. So, Tom.
Awesome. I'm Tom Hamblin. I'm the Smart Collaboration Practice Lead for Australia and New Zealand at Lenovo. So essentially everything intelligent meeting rooms. Obviously, it's been a very exciting space with Teams and everything coming to the fore now. And very excited to have a chat about hardware, the ecosystem, and everything that we can do as some vendor partners together.
And Nicholas Hall, CEO of Commbox. I've been involved with Commbox for 21 years now. Obviously, various different roles within the business, but also a keen interest in the product development side. So really keen to see how we're developing for the meeting room specifically at the moment.
Excellent. And actually, I would like to ask, just to kick us off, Nicholas, what's something that you're most excited about, or some of the things you're most excited about here at Integrate today as we get started and kicked off that it means something to you?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the seeing the new or relatively recent introduction of Microsoft Whiteboard into the Teams room. Obviously, that means a lot to an interactive company.
No, surely not. Surely not. Excellent. And you as well, then, Tom? What's exciting for you about Integrate this year, and some of the things that you're already noticing in this first few hours?
My biggest thing is just the demand for video conferencing is obviously through the roof. No secret, through COVID, we don't need to rehash the whole hybrid work thing, but it's just phenomenal going and talking to organizations when they used to have maybe 10% of their rooms as video rooms, and now they're really pushing up to 60, 70, 80%. And I know Microsoft has a couple of stats floating around that with the 500,000 meeting rooms on offer across ANZ, they think there's only about 8 to overestimate is about 20%, but around between 8 and 20% of meeting rooms have video conferencing in them. So to me, that means there's 400,000 rooms available for us to go after. And it's exciting that these video conferencing solutions are getting into more spaces than they ever have. Mm-hmm. But a part of that is because they are easier to get into those environments, and working through great partners in the room, I think is really where we're able to succeed and make sure that all of the customers that need video-enabled meeting rooms can have the right ones in the right spaces. And it's great that partnerships like this between all three of us, I think you have a very versatile reach across the different types of meeting rooms.
Excellent, Tom. I couldn't agree more. And I think one of the things I'm so excited about this year is really seeing the breadth of technology and how it's impacting the market. I mean, we've talked a lot, of course, over the last couple of years due to COVID, how it has really taken video to that next level, video collaboration. But in general, even audio and the way people are utilizing technology to stay together and connect is so exciting. I mean, last week we did have EduTech, and we were, of course, both there. And I really focused in, because of a keynote I had to do, on what it means to what technology means to the education sector in particular. But what dawned on me too was the fact that we have the ability now as a human race and a human society to reach out into far areas that we've never been able to before, where people have been marginalized and not had technology to actually help them communicate and collaborate better, help them connect to people that they never would have dreamed connecting to. I mean, I'm from small town Missouri in the US, and I think back to times when I was growing up, none of this was here, and that was really not that long ago. And the ability now that we have to actually reach out to people is so powerful. So And it transcends just anything that we could imagine. So, and seeing all of this together under one roof is so exciting to me to be here. And I'm so proud of what Jabra is bringing to that space as well as Lenovo and Commbox.
And obviously supported by Microsoft, all of this becomes possible with the
we shouldn't forget to think of our Microsoft family, and they are a family. I mean, what Microsoft brings from the ecosystem and the platform together for all of that rich experience is beyond belief. So, and it's just going to continue growing as well. So let's talk a little bit about intelligent meeting spaces, and I'm going to advance our slide. So one of the things that Microsoft have been doing together with us in partnership, the three of us, is really looking at signature spaces, and really figuring out, what that is. So I guess the first question to you guys would be, what is a signature room for Lenovo? What does it mean? Talk a little bit about that, Tom, and I'm going to do the same thing with Nick.
So it's kind of like two-pronged for us. We see the signature room, obviously it's a great flex of the hardware, which we can cover through, but one of the most unique things, and I think a benefit for a lot of the partners here that often do this a lot better than some of us as vendors, is being able to be a trusted advisor and say, hey, look, this is a new type of meeting room. This is a space where, yes, there's a TV, there's a camera, there's a table. People say, I've seen this before. But you say in these meeting rooms that a lot of people that have today, I see two meetings happening simultaneously. You've got your remote meeting and you've got your in-room meeting. And yes, they are happening together, and it's a very good experience. It's a lot better than just throwing a phone on the table on speaker. But when you're able to really look at a design room and build it for a specific purpose of collaboration, you're now able to have like a truly hybrid meeting where the remote and the in-person people are doing the same thing. So that's obviously enabled by the hardware. But I see these signature rooms as an opportunity to go out and reconnect with customers, talk to them. I mean, not everyone's going to change their meeting room, and we'll touch on that with the existing meeting rooms shortly. But if there's a new project, a new site, it becomes such a richer conversation that you can have where, hey, we can set up signature rooms like this, enable it with technology like from vendors like ourselves, but more importantly, wrap a service around that, become a managed service provider in that account so that as you continue down the path and you keep consulting on rooms like this, any opportunity that they have for additional hardware procurement or support requirements, you're right there ready to sort of meet that demand. And I think it's important for vendors like ourselves to be supporting those partners to do that.
Excellent. Thank you, Nick. Or Nick, over to you. Thanks, Tom.
Yeah, thank you. But I mean, intelligent meeting room, it doesn't just mean a signature room, right? So it can be any size room or any style of room. Every room should be intelligent. What does it mean to be that? Yes, it's about inclusion, of course. So it doesn't matter where the participant is. Are they in the room? Are they out of the room, etc., or on the far end? But to me, even a two-person meeting room should be intelligent. What do you think makes an intelligent meeting room?
Well, I think, definitely an intelligent meeting room has to have technology in it that brings those people that are in that room into equal footing, not only within the room from the standpoint of how the technology works with interactive whiteboarding and displays, but also then takes that collaboration they're having there out to the far end dynamically, making sure that those far ends are not marginalized. They don't feel like they're not being heard and they don't feel like, they're not struggling to see and know what's going on in the room. And bridging that gap between those two environments is so critical. And the technology that we all create together in the Panicast 150 180 degree view is one of the reasons why that happens, because it actually, no matter where the people are sitting in the signature architect, including all the way almost up to the screen, they're being seen and their voice is being heard and dynamically captured and put out to that far end person, which is really cool.
And I don't just think it's the technology either that makes the room intelligent. It's all of those other details that are coming together. So are the acoustics right? Is the lighting right? I mean, what is a meeting? A meeting doesn't just have to be VC, but it can be two people or more. So it's all of those other details, I think, the aesthetics, the furniture, and so on that come together.
And that's something too about Jabra, our rich heritage with audio, and which is, in my opinion, the foundation for video. Good video is your audio. If your audio isn't good, to your point, acoustics and things like that in the room, things that in lighting, if that audio isn't good, then it doesn't matter how good your camera technology is, you're not going to reach people successfully on that far end, and also give the people in the room a good experience either. So really, really key to do that is having the room set up correctly. Now, one thing that this architecture makes me think of for any of us that have been in the industry, which I'm sure many of us have been for a long time, is that old immersive technology that we saw from, it's kind of funny to call it even old, because again, you're really that old in modern times, but that really high-end experience that some of the providers like Cisco and Poly had put out there in the market originally. What's great now, though, is that rich experience is available at a better cost point for our customers, a more flexible environment for them, and they can do it in a more of an executive style room that we're showing on the slide today, but they can also do it in a small 2-person room. They can do it in a focused room. They can do it in an everyday room. Still make sure that they're addressing acoustics and stuff in that room, but again, at a better, more cost-effective, more flexible way of doing it, and still giving that rich experience to the technology.
Thanks. Actually, I just want to add to your point there that I've often found in my customer conversations when chatting about these intelligent meeting spaces and often the signature room layout with sort of the furniture and everything there, I often talk about like a game of 1%, where we have our standard. I mean, not knocking the solution at all. I've seen hundreds of meeting rooms that have the Poly Trio up there and a Logi C930 webcam, and it's connected with the Trio Plus. Fantastic solution during the Skype room era. But now when we can do things like just things that might seem common knowledge to us, like, hey, making sure the camera's at eye level. And then with things like the Commbox screens there, you make sure that the people are also at eye level there. I talk about all of these as 1% enhancements. And so if you have eye level video, you've got spatial audio, you can now see the chat, you can see the content clearly, you've got a better spacing of people around the microphone source. All of these start to become a 5 or 6 or 7% edge. And in my customer conversations, especially at some of the top end of town, I've been saying, look, you're often bidding on $50, $100 million pieces of work. Would you not take a 5 or 7% edge into every single call that you wanted to do, especially when some of their competitors, like I love it when I dial into a meeting with a board sometimes, and some of them still have the laptop looking up their nose. They're looking at the second monitor over there, and they're like, yeah, I'm highly engaged. You can tell they're doing emails and else. Yeah. And you go, I understand that person is very busy, and maybe they just don't want to hear from a vendor and fully engage. But when I phrase it like that to say, hey, this investment, which to your point earlier, isn't the multiple hundreds of thousands that it used to be. This is actually an edge in your own customer conversations. You are a very easy way to get an edge over the competition when a lot of people are doing this, but a lot of people still have that mess of cables that you pull out. And anytime I see a VGA connector, I start to rub my hands together and go, I think we've got a deal here.
Well, I mean, again, working for Jabra, and I don't like being on a conference calls with the customer, unfortunately, oftentimes with the older technology, because I can't see or pick out who's actually speaking back to me, you know, on that remote, because they're on older technology that's all zoomed out, and they're just a little, you know, basically a bowling pin, as we say in the bowling alley view, around a table, and you can't figure out who was actually talking, because you can't even figure out if their mouth is moving. So so that's where all of this comes into play now, and makes such a rich environment. When we move on then to thinking about existing, so this is a good segue to existing meeting rooms. I guess the question to you guys, and Nicholas, we'll start with you this time, is, you know, how are you seeing people reinvent those existing spaces as they're trying to get people back into the office and trying to get people, you know, working truly hybrid in a sense?
Yeah. Okay. Well, first of all, that's an interesting word, space, because we've been talking about meeting room spaces, but it doesn't have to be a room, right? So so we're seeing offices that are still going open plan, but putting collaboration screens with video conference and with the ability to meet onto those screens there. So in open plans, in open plan offices. That's one. Having screens that are interactive as well is really helping, we believe, because obviously I think it's more than 70% of us are visual learners. So if we can ideate together with a board, with a drawing, etc., those ideas are retained much more, and so on. So they're just some ways.
And Tom, for you, as far as what are you seeing in that existing space, where, again, you know, thinking too about how companies are trying to get people to come back in, what does that, you know, actually mean for Lenovo, and what you're seeing in the market?
So I've kind of seen this play out in two different ways in a lot of our customers. And one of the ways is where the IT department gets together and they make a decision that, you know, everyone's going to be using the technology this way, and this is our solution, and then they roll it out. They invite staff back to the office, and inevitably it doesn't get utilized as much as they thought. So, and then the people in procurement have pressure, show me the ROI on this investment, why aren't people using it? And what we realized is, you need to be, like, the customers need to be having that conversation with their own staff as well. And once again, as a partner in the room, that's a really good opportunity for yourselves. I mean, I know Microsoft pushed that hybrid working workshop as well, which is really great. But to take that approach and say, hey, I want to help facilitate you to have a discussion with your own staff about getting the right piece of tech in the right meeting rooms. And what we've found in the most successful rollouts is it is a mix. Where, you know, I'd love to sit up here and say, hey, Lenovo should be in every single one of your meeting rooms, but that would just be wrong. There's a better solution. There's the right product for the right room. And when you're looking at some of the rooms that are already fit out with technology, they don't want to rip up the TVs and put them on the long wall. It's just going to be too much of a inconvenience in that specific room. But I think by making sure they address those conversations with their own staff, because we get a lot of times like, I love the Microsoft whiteboarding feature. And some people go, I love whiteboarding, but I will only do it on a physical whiteboard.
Yeah.
So, okay, great. Content capture camera in this room. And we ingest it into the Teams ecosystem.
Or use the Panicast 50, which does it automatically.
Exactly. through that. And then, but you have the Microsoft whiteboard on a touch Commbox screen because, yes, there's great. And I mean, Lenovo has our own whiteboarding applications, but I say don't use them because the building it into the Microsoft Teams ecosystem makes it more usable for that end user. I think I was guilty of this all the time, but I now have to always remind myself that most of our customers aren't IT nerds. And as much as I would love them to be, they just want the thing to work. They just want to press join.
And they don't want to get called for support unnecessarily as well.
Yeah, we don't want to get called for
Exactly.
support. So if we can minimize those tickets through making sure the right piece of hardware goes in the right room, and you can't guess that across an organization. You have to engage with the end customer, which is the user in the room, and just make sure that, I hate to use this overblown term, but go on the journey with them. And that way you're also close to them whenever another sale opportunity pops up.
I totally agree. Another thing that comes to mind with these spaces too is that it's a chance for facilities and technology teams to work together to reinvent that real estate, that existing real estate. So to your point, they don't necessarily have to change displays and everything, but they may just need to reposition furniture, put in a Panicast 50 because they can actually, as you see in the picture on the left, put a table all the way up against the wall, utilizing wasted space from the traditional room at an inexpensive level, and then put another sub-collaboration space behind it for co-creation in the room, again, still reaching all the people in the far end. And then again, if they do have a traditional whiteboard in that environment, then they can capture that as well all at once with one overall solution. The other thing that comes to mind is retention and staff retention. So, we saw everyone go home and get used to having really the ideal home setup. Whether their companies bought it for them or they did it themselves, everybody invested in really making their home setup awesome. And how many of us like using our home office? Hands up.
Yeah.
It's understandable. I love mine as well. I mean, I have great equipment as well at home because of Jabra, but I honestly love my home office. But what we have to do now is make sure that these spaces are good enough for people to come back in and go, okay, I've spent hours coming back into the office or an hour or so of commute time, and if I'm going to be just doing what I would have been doing at home and not have any spaces that I can go in and co-create, well, then I'll just stay at home. So we have to make sure that these spaces are there for them and that they feel compelled and want to use them, that they enjoy using them, that they give them that same rich experience. And it happens too, even in the desk space that they go into in the office, they have to have the right equipment there as well to make that experience rich for them. So really, really cool to hear that perspective, guys, on both of them. And it could segue to versatility across the spaces. So I guess, Tom, we'll start with you this time. When you think of versatility across the spaces, what is Lenovo seeing about that and how they work across, the different spaces that are there?
Definitely. So there's no secret that we've been seeing an explosion of the sort of personal and small base meeting rooms. I've even seen some organizations that previously maybe had a 20 or 30 seater boardroom that have with combinable walls that are now, they don't open the walls anymore because they're looking for a larger volume of rooms to support that demand coming back. So Lenovo's own range of products, we often say are very good fits for a small and medium room. About the 10 seat mark is when I stop using my own Lenovo products. However, it's no secret either that we're a PC manufacturer at the end of the day. So I genuinely think, providers like Jabra and Commbox and the wide variety of other vendors in this ecosystem, they have great technology. And to get that right piece of hardware in the right room is a key point for us. But as an end customer or a partner supporting and rolling that technology out, you don't want death by dashboard with 50 different dashboards. So if we can try, and I'm always trying to standardize the management. So if you lock in like a Lenovo PC that can power any of these types of meeting rooms, and then you have a consistent touch interface so that the end user doesn't feel as if every meeting room is a different experience, because even if you painted a touch controller different, you'd get more support calls. They just use as a finicky. So to make sure that we lock in those two pieces, and then we have the whole wide world of peripherals. Like the Panicast 50 is so versatile in those spaces, but I probably wouldn't put it in a 40-seater boardroom.
No.
So we've got other partnerships there that we're just saying that those right peripherals fit in the right space, but you can be confident that compute is going to be powering teams well into the future.
Yeah.
And I mean, I hope you've heard of the Lenovo brand name in compute before, because I still get a lot of times, oh, wow, you do collab, but everyone knows we do laptops.
Exactly.
So we're definitely leveraging that sort of rich history in the Windows side to power the compute in those rooms.
Probably not a lot to add here, but I will just mention that what we are seeing, or some of the versatile pieces, would be dual screens or side of house screens, especially in the large rooms, the ideation rooms or collaboration rooms. It doesn't even have to be a large room itself, but if you've got a 6-person meeting, to be able to have that side of house, bringing it up with or without VC as well.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think, again, it's about being able to walk into these rooms. And then we owe Microsoft, a big thanks for this, in the sense of them putting together a platform where it is a consistent user experience across any type of room. So when you go in, and you've invited that room into a Teams meeting, you can go join and you're into it. Again, the user doesn't have to think much besides scheduling the room, or potentially even just walking in and using it ad hoc. And then of course having the ability, though, in those spaces to have BYOD in case somebody is, stupidly using another platform, then they can actually come in and be able to get into those spaces and utilize another platform when they need to as well. So,
yeah. And just on that point across the spaces, the PC that Lenovo is leading with now is called the ThinkSmart Core PC, and it's helpful when you can start with a base bundle, which is just that Core PC plus a touch controller, and it has things like dual 4K HDMI out. You can do HDMI ingest at the NUC or at the controller. It's got a USB-C input at the controller, so as center of room cameras or center of room speakers become more and more popular, you've got an easy option to add that to the system and not have to run everything back to the NUC. And then also we love that when we were setting up on the brand new Commbox 21x9s, which look fantastic, you can get the HDMI output from the USB-C port, which instantly picks up that 21x9 resolution, because it's all about, yes, we can build a hardware bundle, but at some point someone needs to install that. And if it's difficult and you're constantly trying to get drivers and playing around on site, that's not really what we want to be doing. We want to enable our install partners to say, okay, I know these products work well together. I can do X, Y, Z at the factory before I get there, so that when I'm on site, my team are just installing. They're not playing around with aspect ratios out of a HDMI input. You can just pull it straight out of the USB-C port and pick up that 21x9 instantly.
Excellent. And it really is, this next slide is all about that device for any platform. And certainly Teams being the market leader, but we want to still be able to allow people that are working across multiple ecosystems to have that same rich experience and collaboration. So excellent.
And we're obviously a big Windows house there, but we do have our first Android product downstairs. It's got a ThinkSmart View Plus 27-inch screen. So even a very deep Windows organization is starting to look at that Android platform. Obviously, it's all really built around the Microsoft Teams ecosystem, but we really do listen to a lot of the feedback that we get from partners. I know Android wasn't a big focus for us, but actually last year at Integrate, we had a lot of the partners in, and a few of them gave us a bit of pressure to come forward with some more Android products. And so we.
Well, you can always just partner with us, and you can.
Yeah, exactly. So
no, I agree with you, and that's exactly why Jabra was also launched and is launching here at Integrate our first ever Android all-in-one bar. So the Panicast 50 VBS video bar system. So it's awesome, and again, all of this is for both of us is on display too down in the Integrate stand. So please come around and see and get a live demo of some of this technology. So let's talk about becoming a trusted partner and becoming that advisor from all of our standpoint out to the partner community and then out to the end customer ultimately. When we think about Microsoft Teams and pulling all of this together, there's a lot of elements. There's AI now. There's the aspect of networks and different environments that you have to connect into effectively, the aspect of the technology itself and pulling together the screen technology, the compute, the camera technology, the environment that it's in. When you think about that, what are some of the things that you're addressing or looking at challenges-wise and that you're seeing in the market, Tom?
Well, it's really, as you said there, Eric, it's such an expansive conversation. And yes, we have some of the more digital aspects to a Microsoft Teams rollout up there. But as we talked earlier, there's furniture involved. I've been in technology conversations where there's a hospitality manager who has equal weight as an IT manager. So, we have serious conversations around the tablecloth being the wrong color that clashes with the mic, and you have to remove the mic. You think it's such a seemingly far-fetched conversation, but it's such a wide piece and touches so many people in the organization now that it kind of is too complex for a lot of customers to handle on their own. And I think it's a great advantage for partners in the room to be able to become that trusted advisor across multiple angles of that. Which, if you're deep in the Teams ecosystem, you may already do a lot of that. But if you're like a IT reseller that's starting to dip your toes in AV and looking at the Teams ecosystem, we really want to say that us as vendors are here to support you to get that capability. Yeah. It's something where we're seeing that ability to give that extra support and say, hey, validate this is a business for yourselves. Make sure you have demand from your customers, and then they can invest further in that. But in the early stages, they can definitely leverage the capabilities that we have up here to either be on a customer call alongside you, be training your own staff, having conversations like this that are pretty transparent before you go to that customer call, just to make sure you're completely well prepared. And as you become that trusted advisor, I've seen it happen so many times. I'm your meeting room specialist. They see you as a technology specialist. When a screen, like a monitor on a desk, they want to upgrade, they call me and say, hey, do you do screens? And of course, I pass that on to the different team or something, but that's the role that we see a lot of the partners are probably going to be able to service better than us as a vendor, because you're closer to the customer.
Excellent. Nicholas, from your perspective?
Yeah, I mean, look, becoming a trusted advisor really means actually working with all three of our companies and beyond even, isn't it? And it's about getting all of those details together. So working out, do you have enough real estate as in size of screen? Okay, we can help there. Do they have the right camera? Do you need a side of house and etc.? Is the furniture correct? Is the tablecloth matching the microphone? But seriously, like it's then approaching us and working with us to become that trusted advisor, right?
Definitely. And I think, that the one thing that I've loved about working with Microsoft, especially over those last 6 or 7 years of my career, is the rich partner framework that they have and the value that it's helped partners realize in themselves. And it does take a village with this. It takes a lot of people to make this all come together. And when I think about what Jabra's doing with AI and our intelligent speakers and intelligent cameras, we're working in partnership with Microsoft together with you guys to make sure that the rich capabilities in the ecosystem that are coming in the sense of the co-pilot technology and stuff like that we're actually going to be enabling that for that end user, so that as people are speaking, as we're doing right now, they know that it's Eric speaking, because I've allowed the Teams ecosystem to say, this is my face, this is Eric, he's talking right now, and live transcripting what's happening. Again, on the displays and everything that Commbox do, combined with the power of the compute from Lenovo, all that comes together in order to make that experience that's going out to the far end and also to those in the room is coming out clearly, succinctly, and then it gives us the ability, also to manage our own daily work better. These things that are coming from Microsoft excite me tremendously, because I hate taking notes. I hate tracking what I'm supposed to be doing. And these tools are going to help us with that. It gets a little scary sometimes too, because you're thinking, okay, I'm going to be actually tracked by my technology, and I have to make this to-do actually happen. But it's good because it makes it more smooth for us. We don't have to try to keep track of multiple platforms of the actions and the tools and things. It'll all be inside that ecosystem. And all the things that we're doing combined together help power that. If we weren't here doing what we're doing, then the Teams environment, and I'm pretty sure Microsoft would echo this, wouldn't be able to also then deliver that promise. So exciting times, that's for sure. So the MTR lifecycle, this was another slide, Tom, that you had come up with a little bit. So you want to walk us through a little bit about what some of the concepts that you're thinking about in the lifecycle?
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, a lot of the AV partners in the room, none of this will be too new to them, but really it's just that opportunity that a lot of people might see a Teams room as, hey, it's a great opportunity for a hardware sale. We sell something in, partner installs, and that's where it ends up. But I'm constantly beating the drum about kind of having this as a lifecycle management, building those managed services in, all because you're trying to get closer to the customer. And from having a planning stage, because I'm guilty of this all the time, that like these new technologies that come out, we quickly see them and think, okay, yeah, everyone must know about these. And I'm showing some customers features that have been out for months. Like every time I trigger a Microsoft whiteboard, people go, oh my God. Like, I had no idea Microsoft did that. And you go, it's been around for a very long time. It left the MTR and has come back. So it's had a full journey, and some of them still haven't seen it. So even just having a planning session and saying, hey, this is what's possible, might start new triggers of thought inside that organization. And if you as a partner or like relationship manager with a customer are triggering those thoughts, well, then that's building that trusted advisor piece. And that's where the holy grail is, to get through from doing the pre-configuration services for them. You know, it's funny how many customers we've said, hey, we can put a custom background on this for you on the NTR. And of course, yes, you can do that yourself inside the organization, but that little bit of extra service, they love it. And then when it gets installed and it's got the organization's logo, just a little enhancement. So as we move through, it goes through to the actual physical deployment, onto the support, managing the device. I mean, a big one that we see in management these days is the utilization metrics. So a lot of the technology, I know the Panicast 50 will do people counting. I know on our ThinkSmart Manager platform, it will tell you sort of how long are these devices in meetings and how long are the meetings, and then how many people are sitting in them, because it becomes a very good metric in what is quite an anecdotal space where people say, hey, Eric, I can't find a meeting room. I can never find a meeting room. Chances are everyone's just sitting on level 7, and level 6 and level 5 are completely empty. So if you ask the business for more money for a meeting room, well, you can't get it. But if you as a partner are able to say, hey, every month I'm going to provide a report, this data is already being collected. You can enhance your value by saying, hey, you want to manage these rooms better? You don't have a space problem. You have a booking you have a booking problem. More people need to book on level 6 or level 5. And if you don't want to have them sitting there, well, now you can repurpose the space. Can you turn it to an open collab space? Can you put one of your amazing mobile trolleys, which I've seen that keep getting bigger and bigger every time I see them, so that's super impressive. And then it also goes through to the retirement of the devices. I'm not sure about hearing with you and your customers, but the whole environmental sustainability goals is a really big push, and it's being a big push from Lenovo because our customers have been demanding it. So being able to say, hey, we can help you retire these devices. Maybe you don't resell them at market value if it's in the future and they're out of warranty, etc. But even just disposing of them and being able to provide some sort of certificate to say, hey, these were environmentally sustainably disposed of, can add a lot of value to these organizations that are looking for that. So pretty much every one of these pieces could be treated in isolation, and you say, no, I just do the planning and someone else does the rest. But it is a really good opportunity to add value at every single one of those phases. And then it's also really difficult to get rid of you. I'm adding all this value across the entire life cycle, and someone's going to come in and say, hey, I promise you the earth and I'll do the greatest deployment ever for you. Yeah, well, that's maybe unproven, but also I'm getting all of this other value from my current partner, and I'm actually kind of happy there. So you know what? You have to come with better than that, Tom.
Exactly. Well, one of the things too that I think about as well is like what we're doing with our Android device in particular is that we're making sure that it is future-proof for well down the path. So not only do you continue this journey around making sure that you design things correctly and everything, but you need to provide solutions as well that are going to last, that aren't going to have to be replaced or going to become obsolete within 2 or 3 years. The technology is moving rapidly and fast, so it's a challenge to do that, but that's something that we've stepped up to, and I know you guys have as well. From your standpoint, Nicholas, from a life cycle of MTR, how does that?
No, I think you've got it covered.
All right. Well, let's move on. So again, we are your partners. We are here combined partnership, of course, today, not only because of this panel, but just in general, the way we all work together is very powerful. And we want to be that arm to the AV partners and the customers that you support out there in the industry to make sure that you are getting the most out of the ecosystem, that you are getting the most out of the environments that you're walking into, whether you've got the skill set to do all of it, a part of it, or a portion of it, or even if you do have all the skill sets to do it, but you still want to have, I think one of the things that I love about all three of our organizations is that we are happy to be on the ground with our partners. We don't, it's not that we want to go in and take customer relationships away from anyone. We want to be there with you and walk in with you, and actually do great things with you for those customers. Again, to make your brand shine, to make things that are happening in your world look the best possible, and create that stickiness, if you will, with the customer that you have as well, not just us. It just benefits everyone. So it's excellent. So I'm going to come back to, well, actually, I will cover this one.
We've got like 5 minutes left.
Yeah, so that's perfect. Okay. Yeah. So just to kind of give you guys, from a partner perspective, to know about an incentive program that we do have running right now with the VBS launching. If you are able to, and also our Windows-based system with Lenovo, if you put in a signature room inside your space for demonstrations, there is some criteria around it. We want you to have the appropriate room for it, so some good acoustics. It doesn't have to be high-end or anything, but could be even a small focused signature room. Put that in place, and we start doing some joint joint demos and stuff together. We're going to sponsor with you guys a 4K USD marketing investment, which is awesome. So it's running right now, and it will run probably through towards the end of the year. But yeah, we're really excited to do that and do some great joint marketing events with our partners, and actually help promote your brand as well as Jabra, Lenovo, and Commbox together, of course, and really just help give you a bump into that space and a bump into doing the signature room space, whether that be again small, medium, or more high-end signature rooms. So we want to move to Q&A now, I think. And we'll cover also the last slide. We'll have some Microsoft Teams rooms, so systems. We got about 5 minutes left. Anybody have any questions?
Otherwise, I have a question for the audience. With a prize, which probably doesn't work for the people online. Sorry about that. But for the people in the room, I mentioned at some point that it's easy to use the Lenovo PC across a wide variety of rooms, especially with the new Commbox screens that are 21:9. Why was the core PC easier to interact with those screens than a conventional device?
Can I answer?
No. First hand up.
Close, because it's more about the output than the ingest. Still close, but just not on the money. That's
good. That's good. You have to ask all the hard questions, huh? Any Oh yeah, there we go. Oh yeah. Do we have any other questions? Anybody in the audience? All right. Well, we also have some Jabra giveaways. We've got some Evolve 230 headsets here. There's more than that, so that's just a couple up there. So feel free to come up and grab those. There's some other Lenovo free giveaways here, so please feel free to take some of those with you guys. Please reach out to us, connect with us on LinkedIn. We're all pretty easy to find. And finally, there's some great partner resources here, of course, to remind you of in the slide packs. Thanks to Joe, Donnelly in particular, for coordinating all of these. Higgsy as well for being so involved in the background.
Which is a lot more difficult coordinating us than it sounds.
What do you mean? We're totally easy, weren't we? Well, we thank you guys for your time. Thank everybody for online. You know what? I didn't check online to see if we had any questions. I'm sorry, guys. Forgive me for that. Let's look and see in the chat. Nothing yet. All right. And thanks to everybody that's been online as well listening in today. It's been great to spend some time with you all. Enjoy, integrate, have a blast. And we'll see you around the traps. Come down to the Jabra and Lenovo and Commbox stands. They're a lot of fun. Thanks.